folks in the council people have it. Yes. I'm crying. I can't believe how unprofessional. I can't believe that was a fake. I saw it and I said, account, a fake account. That's unreal. That just, yeah, unreal.
Choose the game.
No.
Any extra tickets to the?
No, but I was at the, messenger. It's very nice. It's very nice.
Father-in-law, what did I say?
I think it was out of the country. I think.
Okay, and then.
Just for.
And that's right.
Did you go to any? Did you go to any?
Everything that's gonna be done for these schools.
Okay, they need to make a decision to change the police from public safety to an actual police force, because and I've been arguing, I argued that a lot while I was there, and
My second or third month there in my office. Help, I'm being beaten now.
that was at Wilson.
Oh, thank you. No, appreciate that.
It was South.
And it's on the golf course. So,
So you want to move the 12A, the noise one to here.
it's a high run. Yeah, William and I thought maybe it would
It's
be a
back
good idea
here.
based on the.
I'm surprised we don't have all these people here to speak.
It's just they're asking the police about
Yeah,
why aren't
Hmm?
what happened to all the people I heard were attending. But I, if that's the case, I just, maybe a good idea just to get them out of the way and mention, bring it up first so that we can have a more calm council meeting.
So should I bring it about before the agenda item or where after approval of the minutes?
I would say, yeah, maybe after the open.
Yeah, that's a
forum
problem. It's
would
that
be
they,
good.
Okay.
After the open forum.
Okay.
No, nosotros no quedamos noche muy. Almost every year we go away. We'll go to my sister-in-law's in Davenport, next to Poinciana. Later, like,
I didn't know that. Oh, yeah. That I didn't.
One notorious.
is your daughter here?
Oh, my God. I didn't even know.
No, but I'm sure that at one point or another, certain things just were going on. But okay.
Yes, Victor, yes, I know you from somewhere else. Well, I was a professor at Miami-Dade College.
I was on board of trustees. I
Yes,
was the vice
yes,
chair.
yes, of course, yes. Yeah, no, I used to attend because I was a department chair and the dean
Of course.
at Wilson, and so,
In our endowed chairs also, we used to have every year at the Wilson campus.
yes, yeah. So you look familiar with us. What is that sort?
Did I say
Are
that?
you still not on the board?
No, this was my last term. I served twice. So.
Okay. Very good. Yes, good to see.
Yes. Oh.
I parked in the line across right next door. And it was not.
My husband had never said that.
There was a lot right next to it.
On the south,
I don't think we
the
could say
email,
it's the Miami Dade.
if they meant to say a south lot, he said they were incorrect. That poor man.
Well, no, you made money.
You know, here?
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell, Vice Mayor Bravo. Here. Councilman Best.
Present.
Councilman Behet.
Here.
Councilman Vasquez.
Here.
There is a quorum present.
I'll stand for the invocation, please. Oh, Heavenly Father, as we end the year 2021, we thank you for all of our blessings, for the blessings for our community, for the many blessings for our nation. We ask that you watch over us tonight with your benevolence and your grace, and that you guide us with wisdom as we make decisions for the best interests of our beloved community. Amen. I'll join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to our last meeting of 2021. The City Council. Great to have you all here. Our first agenda item will be the nominations, and we have the Yard of the Month Award. Do we have Mr. and Mrs. Paredes here? Ah,
Cool.
come on up so we can give you your award. Let's all go and take a
Yes.
photo with them.
Please, of course.
I forgot to say the address. Your home is at 1184 Westward Drive. And it's Renee and Pilar Paredes. Thank you so much for beautifying our community. We're so grateful that you take the time to provide a beautiful yard. I know it's for your enjoyment, but it's for the enjoyment of everyone that drives around in our community. So we're very grateful. Thank you. Okay, so the next agenda item is recognition of our City Hall lobby Artist of the Month. And this month, it is a combination of the Women's Club, artists from the Women's Club and from the Hibiscus Fine Arts Guild. I don't know if anyone's here. Okay, but everyone who goes into our lobby, we're really enriched by the artists in this community and the enjoyment that they provide every single month. A new array of diversity, of beautiful artwork, beautify our city hall. So, and these ladies I know personally, Joan Cavalier is one of them, the wife of our former mayor, John Cavalier, and so many other ladies. And the artwork that they have on downstairs in City Hall is just lovely to look at. So I encourage everyone to stop by if you get a chance and make sure you so the next agenda item is an update on annexation by Jose Fuentes. Obvious from Becker.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, manager. Jose Fuentes, Becker Polikoff, 121 Alhambra Plaza, Coral Gables, Becker Polikoff, obviously. So here's an update on our annexation application. The Office of Budget and Management of Miami-Dade County, that's the office that handles the application, is now in the process of reviewing that application. There is, for all the new members of the council, there's what's called the Fourth City Agreement. This is an agreement that was decided a number of years ago in order not to cause overlapping we're kind of cherry picking between cities. So there was a designated specific lines of what areas were going to be annexed: Miami Springs, Virginia Gardens, Medley, and Doral. So those are the 4 municipalities involved in this application process. We finished the last application, which was the Virginia Gardens application, which passed the Planning and Advisory Board and successfully. And just for your information, it is not necessary for an applicant or an application to pass favorably or unfavorably. It's just an advisory board. It is more for a recommendation component of the process. And now that application, those applications go forth to the Office of Budget and Management. They prepare a report. That report we've had, this has been a process of almost 14 years for the cities, for many reasons. Obviously, the county's position on we're pro annexation, we don't want annexation, maybe annexation will push it back, and so on and so forth. But now we're in a different position. As you know, Commissioner Sosa has said on the record that she is supportive and would like for these applications to go forth. Of those applications, the most recent one to pass was the city of Sweetwater, which passed with its annexation area west of Dolphin Mall or the Florida Turnpike. And that would pass successfully. It's going through its process. It is already passed before the county commission. Our applications are now in review. The Office of Management Budget, which is held specifically by George Fernandez in this specific area, is preparing the report. Once the report is ready, and I spoke to him today just to kind of, because these things are a moving target, right? He expects that he will have the report ready sometime in February or March. Part of the reason that it's taking longer is that in the Doral application package, there was 2 more annexation components that were added that were not in the original package. So they've got to do a report on the tax base, changes in tax base, revenue loss, revenue gain for municipalities, assets, and so forth that will be transitioned. Now, once we get into the April date and that item goes before in a memo form from the mayor to the commission, it will then most likely, and this has been the process as of late under the commission, Chairman Diaz, it would go to the chairman's policy council. And that is made up of 9 county commissioners, and that will vote on the item. And then from there, it would go to the full body or the full BCC for a vote. At that time, what will pass is the incorporation or the annexation documents. And then maybe simultaneously to that passage will be the ordinance, which is a resolution also conveying that annexation area or 4 annexation areas under this application. And so at that point, we're looking at probably, and I was told June, and that's where we stand right now. We are working really diligently to make sure that the applications move at a faster pace, but believe it or not, this is actually lightning speed at the county commission based on the process. So that's where we stand at this point. I don't know if I would hope you have some questions, because this is a very important process for the city and, as we move forward.
Through the chair, is there, Jose, is there any, thanks for your report, by the way. Is there any more legal matters to be cleared up, or that's all done?
There'll be some discussion with the city as far as the agreement between the municipality.
No, not referring to that. I was talking about to those other matters that have gone up, that have come up through the years. That's all
Not
done.
at this time.
Okay.
I think that's,
Done.
I never say never.
Right.
But at this time, no, that's
Okay.
that's not a point of discussion.
Thank you, sir.
Through the chair. Jose, can you finish the statement you were saying before, that all the municipalities would have to get together to agree? What were you?
So there's 4 cities in this agreement, and what happened was, at one point historically, there was areas that one city wanted and the other city wanted. So the county commission asked that the 4 cities sit at the table and figure out specifically what lines and what boundaries they wanted. For example, Virginia Gardens kind of meanders on 36 and picks up property to the west of it. And like the Airport Corporate Center is included in their annexation application. So kind of segues like a peninsula. That's was one of the negotiations. There was the last one that was a major butting of the heads, as they say, was Doral and the town of Medley deciding on the border. Was it going to be all of, and I can't remember the street. If I think it's on the other side, it's like 58th, I think it is. Trying to make that decision. So we've worked all those details out. We have, agreements. We will at some point have, the councils pass at the same time, an agreement that shows that we're enforcing again the position of the four city agreement.
Mm.
So that's where will be. This is a train that you got to keep going and moving forward and making all the process catch up correctly, so you don't get behind on the back end, because if not, we'll look past June, and I don't want that to happen. And part of the reason we're trying to move forward is we have tremendous support from Commissioner Sosa, and we have tremendous support from Chairman Diaz on these applications. So this is our opportunity. In the next iteration of the commission, there are 4 new commissioners coming on board, and we don't know what their position is going to be on annexation at that time.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you, Jose. So I had a question. So then it's all or nothing on on this application as it stands, being a multi-city agreement, right? If it were to be approved, it would be approved based on that agreement or nothing, or is there, or could it work out that it has to change based on?
I mean, we have a gentleman's agreement. We'll use that term, not to be gender specific or anything. At this time, that's the way the applications would go forth. If there was a modification, we'll obviously advise the council. There is at this time no controversy between these 4 municipalities. But it's a fluid process.
So what would be the timeline to kind of have the different councils kind of sign on?
So
And it's
once the report comes out, before that report comes out, I want to have a kind of a 4 signature. In some cases, it's 5 signature, because you may have the manager who weighs in, right? That agreement signed and passed by each council separately. We'll do it, simultaneously. We'll deal with council and get that resolved, but we would pass them pretty much simultaneously based on the meetings, whether one council meets on a Thursday or another council meets on a Wednesday or another one meets on a Monday.
So given that I think you said that it would go to the board roughly around June. So then when would you be?
Final approval.
Right.
That would be the ordinance, which is a 1 reading because it's a resolution. And that would be the last step of the process. And at that time, after that, you would make a decision.
So when in the spring would you want to have all the cities to kind of come together to?
I'm prepared to probably go with February.
Okay.
And at that time, before February, I'll probably call a meeting again of the mayors, and mayors will decide where they want to meet. I won't pick the location, but we'll meet, and then they'll have a decision. And obviously, it's a sunshine as well, so
Sure.
it would be the mayor or a designate, depending on the municipality.
Thank you.
Counselor, just for my understanding, and people might be listening and or watching, I'll try to understand the end game here, right? What happens? Fingers crossed, everything gets done and the papers get signed off. Is there some official handoff of the parcels or whatever, however we term them?
So once that ordinance, that resolution passes before the BCC in its final, its only reading, it would basically, the jubilation is we've gone through 12 years of this, right? We would officially hand off. There would be some agreements that would have to be signed off by your counselor and the county attorney's office. And then there's a transition, obviously, with the property appraiser's office and discussion there. There is assets as well that would have to be discussed, because you will become responsible for those assets at that time. And then obviously the tax dollars that are generated in that area now become percentage wise become a part of your tax dollars.
Right.
So that's the hooray. And then, I think, as my argument has been for many years before the county commission, this is about proper planning, right? This allows for Miami Springs to have an industrial or a business zone with warehouses. And, Miami Springs at that time will have the ability to designate how you improve that business district. Because if you look at it from the perspective of Doral's benefited a lot from its proximity to Miami International Airport. And I think that based on the conversation that, William and I have had and other managers, there are things and incentives that the city can provide to these businesses, which allow them, the ability to grow, to prosper, and operate as well-established businesses in the area. I'm not saying that they're not at this time, but from a street improvement, light improvement, police protection, one of the things that is really important in this application is the fact that the response time for police is much better from Miami Springs than it would be from Miami-Dade. And by the way, it's not a knock on the police. And we have the chief here. And if you look at the makeup that Miami-Dade has, for example, even in intercoastal, the amount of police officers they have in that area compared to what like a municipality has is not quite the same. And again, those officers or Miami-Dade officers do a great job, and it's just adding more services.
So assuming everything goes well, this could all be done by the end of next year or before the end of next
We're
year?
hoping that it's done before the summer so we can all celebrate in the summer and go to the beach and say, oh, now we got some additional parts of the Springs.
We just like to put some tents up. And
Hey, I'm ready. This is one of those bottles that I haven't been able to open, and it's in the freezer. In the fridge, so it's getting aged a little.
so it's aged good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? Jose, I wanted to thank you and your firm. I know you guys have done a phenomenal job of keeping track, and I know it is like that. I've been to some of the meetings downtown, and it's like, quickly, and all of a sudden, like the planning and zoning meeting, what was it, planning advisory meeting, and they were clueless as to even what the annexation process was. It's something that's been for 14 years, so it's an ongoing that you've kept it up and forefront of the county commission. And I just wanted to say, for people who aren't aware of this issue started because the county approached us asking us to annex that area because they were trying to get rid of these little parcels, these donut hole parcels where they're surrounded by municipalities and they have to send services, police and other services into these areas and go through municipalities to reach these small areas. So this started because the county reached out to our community 12, 14 years ago, and we've had 2 referendums with the community, always with support that this is something that our residents want, the annexation, to allow us to incorporate commercial areas into our small city and also to help with our millage rate. So hopefully this will be accomplished this year, but thank you.
I'm hoping so.
Whenever I've reached out to him to get my finger on the pulse of what's happening with it, he knows it exactly where it is and where it's going and where it's going to be. And I know that's no small feat.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I wanted to add, by the way, and I think we got a communication today, Mr. Manager, from Max with one of the appropriations on the state side, by the way, that already went through its first committee and it's moved and it's been numbered, enumerated. So we're like ahead on that part in Tallahassee. So, it's exciting to have yours be the first approach that's moved on from all the municipalities. So that's a good thing. And I just, want to recognize the great efforts of Senator Manny Diaz, who's done a great job, and Brian Avila, who's in his last term, as your state representative, and going on to the commission. So, I look forward to him being supportive in that role as he's always been for Miami Springs. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, so we have the next agenda item is open forum. One person scheduled to speak. Before we have this person for open forum, I wanted to ask the council's approval to move agenda item 12A up after open forum. That is the discussion on the city city actions to address the noise issue that we had a weekend or two ago.
Through the chair, yeah, let's move that. Yes.
That's all right. Okay, so let's do open forum. We only have one person signed up to speak, Louis Arana.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Councilman. You actually read my mind for moving up that one agenda item because that's exactly what I'm here for. Sure, I'm not the only one who's had to deal with the noise of a week ago occurring from our neighbors across the canal. So I'm very curious to see what's been done by city leadership to address this issue with Hialeah and what's going to be done in the future. Because unfortunately, what we have here is precedent. It's already been set. We're a civilized society. We have rules. Without rules in place, then we're no better than the animals out in the forest or in the sea. And there should be consequences with those rules. So not being able to sleep for several hours on each one of those days and having to go to work at 5 a.m. doesn't really help the situation here. So I'm looking forward to hear what city leadership has to say about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have anyone else signed up for the open forum, so we'll move agenda item 12A. This is dealing, we're just going to discuss the city actions and future actions that are planned to address the noise coming from the Hialeah venue at 4800 Northwest 37th.
I wanted to speak.
Mayor, yes, we have somebody on.
Okay, I'm so sorry. We have someone on, is it just one person?
It's just one person,
Did
yes.
you announce their name?
Steven Sejas.
Susan Sejas? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Sejas.
Hi, Council. Steven Sejas, 349 La Villa Drive. And I wanted to echo what that gentleman said. Myself, my wife, and my 2-year-old child, we couldn't sleep all night. I have hurricane windows, landscaping, and it was just constant booming bass. And I grew up in South Florida. I get there's parties, but even Ultra ends at a reasonable time of 12 or 1 on the weekends. And this is a school night, and it was 3 o'clock in the morning and then 5 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, I reached out to City of Hialeah. No one responded. I wrote every one of their council members. I wrote the mayor. No one responded. I wrote you guys. Several of you responded, and I thank you for that. But I just wanted to, you know, voice my concern clearly as a, you know, relatively new resident, only here 3 years. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sejas. Okay, so I think we're all in agreement that was what we experienced the weekend before last, 4 nights of unacceptable noise late into the night, not from our city, but from a venue in Hialeah. And I can tell you that this past week, I was on the phone that weekend with Mayor Bobo several times, and this past week I met with him in his office. We met for over an hour. And I've also talked to our city attorneys and our city manager. We've had several discussions this week, so I'll let our city attorney advise you as to the actions that we're taking with the city of Hialeah and with the property owners legally.
Thank you, Mayor. Jose Arango for the record. At this time, the city is working with the city of Hialeah regarding the issue. We have sent, with respect to the business owner, we have sent a notice of nuisance letter to the business owner addressing our concerns. And we, being that we're exploring our legal remedies, and litigation may come in the future. In that respect, I would be requesting the authority of the council today to proceed with such litigation should we get to that point. So I would be addressing that request to the council at this time.
Through the chair.
Yes.
Question for council. I read 4 letters that were sent. You know, apparently part of this is regarding the venue and the venue operators themselves, not the city of Hialeah. And from the letters, I got that it was kind of hard to figure out who's responsible exactly, but there are 3 folks or 3 different operators. But are you asking us, which I would favor, that, that we proceed with the recommendations that you're making and following up those letters? I think that there are some steps that have to be taken before litigation. Am I understanding this correctly?
You are that letter in addition, well, it serves more than one purpose. It provides notice of the nuisance to the responsible parties, and it is a precondition should litigation ensue in the future, depending on how they respond. So we are requesting the authority to proceed with such litigation should we need to do so.
So, Madam Mayor, then I would move that we,
Well, we are in the process of, they've already
yes,
proceeded, so I
Yes.
guess what I would like to get across to our community and to our council is that we're not taking this lightly. We're taking very strong action with the city and with the property owners. And that's probably all we can say right now. Is that correct?
At this point, yes, we are treating it very seriously. We are well aware of the concerns and the nuisances. And we have explored our legal remedies and we are exercising them. So we have put the business owners or the responsible parties on notice. And we will take such legal action as needed.
Through the chair. So Jose, just a recap. So here on the letter, it says, based on what we're moving forward with today on the letter, is that the city is using its authority to abate the noise under the section 60.05. Should they not respond within a certain amount of days, we're going to come back and move forward with another consensus on failure to abate the public nuisance. And then the city would be seeking a temporary injunction against Factory Town. Would that be step 2?
It would be, yes.
Okay,
They could certainly be proactive and take
right.
some action, but we can't predict what's going to happen.
Understood. Thank you.
Mayor, I have a question. So what is it, I think as the easternmost member of this council, I live a block away from Mr. Sejas, who was on La Villa. So I know how bad it got. What is it that you need from us? How do we formally, I know you guys are looking for the authority to be able to proceed with litigation if it gets to that point, and that request is made here. Is it just a matter of consensus? How is that done specifically so that you guys can move forward with that
Yes.
or have that authority?
Yes, it would be a matter of consensus.
A matter of consensus. So
But is that necessary now? I mean, we've already, when we spoke, I already instructed you to go ahead with the letter.
I think he asked for,
So,
yes,
right,
right,
yes.
Right.
to proceed with that type of enforcement,
if necessary.
if necessary.
Yes.
Okay.
Because
So-
through the chair, just to be clear, so folks that get this right, there's no legal action in place right now.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
No,
Well, I think what the mayor needs at this point is basically a voice vote to proceed for.
Mhm.
I'm in favor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
And through the chair, as I understood, Jose, this is the process that needs to be followed. The notification, the official notification to the venues and the operators that we are, one, stating our concerns and our anger and upset at the way this has happened, the violation of the noise ordinances,
Mhm.
and and that they have a certain amount of time to respond. And then if they don't, or if it's repeated, then we move to the second phase, I think Councilwoman Bravo was referring to, which is then to go to the courts and seek an injunction and so forth. Is that correct?
Right, to abate the nuisances.
All right, so well, we're in agreement here, I think.
But I just want to be taking this lightly. You know, we've had numerous discussions on this and we are pursuing it. Local is very clear about our position on it. You know, he's welcome to do whatever they would like to do to, you know, to utilize their areas, to create new areas, but it cannot impact we can't be drawn into it. Our community is sovereign community and it's important to services.
Through the chair, the manager in a discussion we had before the meeting that I had with him, a one-on-one, is probably the easiest fix to the whole thing, and it's very simple. The one night after everybody was calling in, and Hialeah, the county here, relative to the noise, the very next night they moved the speakers facing east. There wasn't one complaint. Is it that simple of a fix? I don't know.
Well, I'm sorry, through the chair. I think there may have not been a complaint from here, but there may have been complaints from Alapata. We don't know.
Well, that's up to them. I mean, we're
I
talking
know,
about the
but they're
Springs here.
pointing the speakers in a different direction.
Right.
But I understand, Councilman, and I'm fully agreement with you. And as the mayor stated, as a sovereign community, this is our approach, and we're going directly to the vendors and the cause of the nuisance, and it's their responsibility.
Right, however they want to fix it, that'll be up to them.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Yes.
is there anything else?
Nothing further on this.
Thank you.
So, no other questions? Let's go ahead and move to approval of council minutes. Minutes from the November 8th.
Through the chair, motion to move item 6A.
Second.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Best.
Aye.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Reports from boards and commissions, agenda item 7, we have none. And the next agenda item is 8, which is a public hearing. Signed up to speak?
No, Mayor.
City of Miami, Florida, amending section 35-53, for the amount of eligibility of the police and fireman pension plan of the city's code of ordinance and pertaining to the time of benefit. Election conflict, providing for severability, providing for clarification, and providing for effective. Ordinance was up at the last meeting regarding pension.
Through the chair, motion to move 8A.
Second.
Discussion?
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Best.
Aye.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes,
The motion carries.
thank you. Next agenda item is the consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull the 2 items for discussion? Okay. Your motion to accept consent agenda items.
Through the chair, motion to accept.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo.
Yes.
Councilman Best.
Aye.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Old business, we have none, so we move to new business. Resolution A.
The resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Miami, Florida, approving a mutual aid agreement with the village of Community Garden, providing for implementation. And providing for effective.
Through the chair, William, could we have some definition of this a little, so that, the chief's got.
It's mutual aid, excuse me. It's what it is, a renewal of an existing mutual aid agreement that's expiring that we've had for many years, like we have with other law enforcement agencies and other municipalities.
This is a police matter
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
entirely. Thank you, sir.
Questions for the chief?
I had one question. So they're on different timelines. I believe we also have one with Medley. Is that right?
Yes, and unfortunately, I was just thinking about that. Not all mutual aid
Are all at
agreements
different
expire
times.
at the same time,
Right.
so
Okay.
you'll
So
be getting. as a
they
matter of
come up.
fact, I just got one today with Doral. That's, obviously we won't
Right.
be addressed till next year, beginning of next year.
Okay, thank you.
But we also have one that's on a larger scale with a lot of municipalities. I think we had something before the council in the past, or no? It's
It
on-
all depends. Well, what we have is we have one officer assigned to a task force. And the one that's coming up now with Doral is not necessarily the mutual aid agreement police department, but through to police department, but is with 2 or 3 other agencies of an intelligence network that they're forming.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, well, is there a motion? to move this resolution?
Mayor, motion to approve 11A.
I'll second
Second.
that.
Second it? Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Best.
Aye.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution B.
This is a resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Miami, Florida, approving a settlement agreement with glass doors and windows incorporated. Second, the lawsuit captured that the glass doors and windows incorporated. LLC. And take county state number 2020-018-340-CC-15, providing for authorization of providing for an effective date. The city of Miami Springs provided the Miami Springs Historical Society appropriation of $52,150 towards the renovation of the new museum at 501 East Drive. The review of the society was that they would enter into any construction contract with the city would own the university that they provided to the new as they needed the funds to pay the contract with CP3. The city disbursed a total of $43,935 to date, leaving a balance of $8,215 to be paid. On May 19th, 2021, Mr. Glass Doors and Windows was subcontracted with CP3, obtained a default judgment against the and the society, claiming that CP3 had failed to pay certain work performed on the property. In an attempt to resolve this litigation, the city will agree to pay Mr. Glass the balance left of the appropriation of $8,250, and Mr. Glass will dismiss the lawsuit against the society. Actually have a settlement agreement and release that was prepared by our city attorney. We recommend council approval to of this matter.
Through the chair, before I make a motion, thanks. You guys did a nice job with it. Motion to move the item.
Is there a second?
To the chair with discussion.
Well, is there a second
Uh,
for the motion?
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
I just had a question, and I'm sorry I couldn't ask earlier today. CG3 Group was contracted by the Historical Society to contract the windows company.
Renovate the entire building.
Okay,
And then CB3 hired Mr. Glass, subcontractor to install the windows.
so I don't understand how I got to the point of the lawsuit.
CG3 never paid Mr.
Hmm.
Glass.
Never paid.
It was a total of $17,000.
Yeah.
They were never paid. But Mr. Glass sued CG3 and the society.
So is the society going to continue to use CG3 in the future, considering
The work
done?
is done.
Okay,
They have to finish some of our little benefits. That's the work that was left over. It was pretty much complete
perfect.
when this happened. It's just that the contractor really paid for stuff.
It won't.
They caused them a headache.
Yep. they're right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? So this in essence, William, then just relieves the Historical Society from this lawsuit, and it's a reasonable amount for us to pay to just finish this business, right?
And it's an amount that's already in the budget. so
Yeah.
It's already approved. Correct.
So instead of paying for CG3, we're paying.
Directly to the vendor.
It's a CG.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions?
And through the chair,
Yes, sir.
and the vendor, the particular vendor has agreed, correct? To,
Mr. Glass.
yes,
It's a
to
settlement
accept
agreement.
that. No, that's another matter with his deal with, the subcontractor. Yes. Okay.
Thank you to our attorneys for working out something that. Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Best.
Aye.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Resolution C.
A resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Miami, Florida, approving an agreement with Verizon Connect Inc. for integrated video and video services utilizing the terms of the North World contract number 02. The section 311135 of the city code, providing for authorization, providing for an effective date. This is the city agenda memorandum. This is a police item, and it's being paid from the LPF fund.
Through the chair.
I was just,
What is
no,
it?
let me hear your explanation. Then I'll ask
It
your
is
question, my
a,
question at the end.
a video cam system for the dashboards of our police vehicles or our marked units. Enhances officer safety whenever an officer stops a vehicle or a suspicious person. It doesn't record audio, it just records the video.
What's the shape of the LETF fund at the moment? Do you know?
I
Is-
think
is-
Mr.
is-
Alonso
is
has
it-
a better grasp of the number.
I ask you that from time to
We
time.
made
you
a
know.
couple of deposits recently,
Good.
small, but everything helps.
So we're healthy though. I mean, it's okay. Thank you, sir.
It's not something I use often.
No, I know that.
Do we have these on any vehicles right now?
No, it's a brand new system. That's why we can, this initial payment will be from the LETF fund because it's a new technology for us.
Through the chair.
Motion to move, sir.
11.
Second.
Yeah, 1 second.
Any more discussion? Discussion? Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
Yes.
Councilman Best,
Aye.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez,
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolution D.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Anderson, Florida, approving a first amendment to the continuing professional services agreement with Sebago Alamo Inc. To incorporate federally required contract clauses related to the American Rescue Plan, providing authorization for the right to participate. See in your packet, we, a few months ago, we signed an agreement with the mayor and under the ALPA, rescue plan funding, we need a special language in an agreement so that we can comply with federal requirements under ALPA. So that's what they're trying to do today.
To the chair, Mr. Manager, there is a certain amount of money that we're going to be receiving from this plan, correct?
We've already received
And we've got half already.
3.5 million.
Okay, total of 8, I think was the 7. Thank you, sir.
There a motion?
Motion to move the item, Mayor.
Second.
I have a question, William. I'm kind of confused as to how this group interacts with the funding. Like,
Mhm.
what is their,
Engineers.
Design and planning for the 2 projects.
is it because just of those 2 projects, the South Royal, Poinciana Median and the East Drive?
The stormwater project
On East
Drive
Drive.
plus East Drive improvement plus the median.
Okay, so that's the only way that they would.
Correct.
Be able
with
to,
the ARPA funds, not with any of the others.
No.
Okay, all right.
This isn't state either, is it?
All right, any other questions? Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo,
yes.
Councilman Best.
Aye.
Councilman Behet,
Yes.
Councilman Vasquez.
Yes.
Mayor Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, so, new business item E, discussion of ARPA funding.
Memo for the city of Miami Springs received a total of $6,007,280 as an allocation of ARPA funds. Half was paid in September 2021, and the other half will be received in 2022. The following is a breakdown of the expected usage of these funds. Number 1 is Oakwood East Drive Stormwater and Road Improvement Project. The total estimated cost is $5,192,000. We have a state appropriation of $1,500,000. ARPA funds should be used $3,692,476. Number 2, the SRP, the South Royal Poinciana Median Project, the estimated cost is $2,348,721. We have a state appropriation of $1 million. So we will need $1,348,721 in the ARPA fund. You see at the bottom, I put the total ARPA funding at $6,970,380. Uses of funds of the above 2 projects is $5,041,197. We used part of the ARPA money in the fiscal year 21-22 budget for $275,259. That leaves amount available for the project $1,653,924. The account attached city project list that shows projects that may be partially or totally funded with the $1,634,000 in excess of LPA funding. We will go through the list of projects for the town and get consent from the council on which project to be funded. One point I want to make, the estimated cost for these two projects came from our engineers. They're very conservative. We think once we go out to bid and things from bid, it'll probably be a little bit lower than that. We want the conservative numbers just to get an idea. We think it's probably going to be a little bit lower than that, so we'll have some additional funds. So on the list that I gave you of the projects, and I'm ready for homeowners and each one to see when it's listed as custom use. One change I wanted to make on the Washington Tree lighting, that actually going to be $46,000, not 50 and 401. So the actual amount, the shortfall that you see at the bottom will be 156.75.
I had to tell you, these are a lot of projects. The amount of money we have to look over.
Right?
I'm very impressed with. No, and these are all worthwhile projects, absolutely, things that we've been meaning to do for years, but
We're not,
impressed at, you know.
yeah, we're not dragging our feet, right?
First project is ball field shade areas. Prince Fields, three shades at $15,000. Number two is the racquetball court at the 14 Court to Stafford Park. That's $300,000.
I have a question just with that, William, agreement with Stafford Park, is that the 300,000 is because it's at Stafford Park? Or if, I know we've talked about at the country club or at the current location, would that change down the road substantially?
Yeah.
At Stafford Park,
Well, it would have to be at the country club too, though.
Picked out a certain area there.
Hmm.
It fit perfectly, so. Once
Okay.
we go through the list, then we'll-
So-
almost have to include you on the- That's a new construction. The area, add shade to the pool deck on the south side, that's $50,000. Shade area, add shade area to the pool deck, kiddie pool, that's another $20,000. Stafford walking path, during the time use walking path with lighting, that would be $250,000. Install exercise station, walking path at Stafford Park will be $100,000. Reagan Park improvements, Reagan Park, want to add playground features, fence the park, and put have signage, that's about $125,000. Little League field improvements, it was $96,750, and I moved it back up to the year the last time they were budgeted.
Is that this page, the second page, is that item, is this?
It's one of the attachments.
Right,
It's great.
this one is for this with Little League, the 96.
Gov fencing, fencing of the big field, renovate the T-ball fields at about $200,000. Let's leave the golf course for last. Additional police officer will be $100,000. Additional police vehicle, $45,000. Westwood tree lining, as you mentioned, $46,000. That includes all the electrical, the walls, the lights, so. And there are 17 trees. We added the acoustic panels for the lobby at the senior center that kind of budget at $15,000. Dog park improvements, addition of amenities, water fountain, picnic tables, dog food amenities, etc. That's $90,500. And then the Curtis Mansion irrigation system. That's a little about $40,000. and I put some of the estimates that they sent me. They really, because right now they have to manually go out there with the whole system. This would help because they have future plans to do more beautiful landscaping and gardens out there, so this would help. Now, what I did talk to them today, you see, they sent me two estimates, one was 57, the other was 40. After discussing it with the board, they don't feel too confident about the board. More than range of the 50. So they, you know, just keep that in mind. We think the quality more than that. So we'll know when we go out, if we decide to do it, we'll go out to bid, and see what it's about. So everything that I have listed here is about $1.8 million. $1.6 million, so we have a shortfall of about $250,000, which we think we'll be able to have those funds once the two projects are done. We'll have to say this. So we're pretty confident that we can do all of these projects. Now the golf course. The renovation of the golf course is going to run about $3.5 million. If we do a 15-year note, right now the rates are around 2.25%. It's an annual debt service of about $280,000. What I put in here is the debt service for the first year. Understanding that in future years we're going to have to cover that to our general fund or to the revenue. Forward here. But I think it's something that should be done. Like I mentioned, for the first time in 1997, we bought the golf course. It's finally turned a profit last year. And we haven't done this type. I don't think we've ever done this type before. On the golf course. 25 years old.
You did one project for 6. Did one project about 12 years ago for $600,000, and it was done wrong, totally wrong. So that was taking that money and throwing it out the door.
We worked really hard. The city has worked really hard for 5 years to get it to where it is now.
You're in a revenue producing area. We're up like 12% over the same time last year already this year. So it's revenue making. It's what you guys brought me here to do, make it money. So it's making money.
Mayor, I have a question. Are we, Paul, are we still, and William, are we still on track then? If we were able to get that then to do the renovations within the timing that Mr. Odell had mentioned? Because I think you had said that it would have to be done during the summer months.
Correct. April 1st, October.
1 April to 1
Close April to October. Right now.
So we're still on track to be done. Yeah, I find it extremely important that we get that done. So.
Through the chair.
Yes. Go ahead, Councilman.
I just wanted to mention that about a month ago, I called Paul and he was gracious enough to give me a tour of the golf course. I've never really walked it. I don't play golf, but it was very instructive to see current conditions and how things would change. And there's a couple of holes that need to be moved and some water towers and things. It's pretty extensive, but I think that my understanding of it is that if we do this and get it done in a timely fashion, it's going to be terrific. It's a great investment for something that makes money for the city. Yep. I just want to share that.
Through the chair.
And thank you, Paul.
And this is directed at the city manager. It's a monetary question. You say 2.5 is the rate right now. Yeah. 2.25 to 2.5. Now, if we wait much longer, chances are that's going to start moving. So that's a danger. My second part of the question is there any way that we can bundle like you've done before and saved us percentage rates on like pairing it with the senior center going forward?
We did that in the past because the other loan that we had was
A higher rate.
We're currently paying about 3% on some of these other roads. By the time you add in road costs, that's really not worth it.
It's not worth doing it. Okay. That was my question. Thanks, William.
Any other questions? William, I have a few questions. First of all, did I hear you say that you thought because you were conservative on these estimates, that we may be able to stretch this out to everything
Yes.
on this list?
Yeah.
That is.
No, I know it.
Yeah, I know
I
it's
know
on the
it.
optimistic side, but it's wonderful because these are all really, I mean, if you look at these projects, these are all projects that extend to all areas of Miami Springs, all age levels, all types of activities, including recreation, but also maintenance and safety. It's just a really broad.
Impressive.
broad,
Very impressive.
that we're covering with this. As far as the golf course, how did you anticipate, William, us doing this? Voting for the whole package or going ahead with the golf course, or how do you anticipate this? What would be the best way?
If you agree with all of this, what's gonna happen is we're gonna have to bring back to you one by one, all of these, and when we get bids for that we need to do, and then the actual construction, that's all gonna come to council for you to approve those.
Right.
The same thing is gonna be with racquetball courts, we'll go out for bids and then we'll come to council and ask you for approval of the different bids that we're gonna get. This is just by doing this, it's all gonna come back to you anyway.
But it's giving you the okay to go ahead and proceed and
Yeah.
find the estimates for this and
Correct.
and it looks like if we come within this, we'll be able to, the golf course, I think we're all in agreement. That's something when we work so hard to get it to, and I know I've said this here, I'm not a golfer, but I've heard from a lot of our friends and a lot of the people that I run into come to Miami Springs from all over the county to golf, and they've told me that for years, they wouldn't have even thought of it. Our golf course was so bad, and they said it took convincing from friends who were coming here saying, try them again, give them a second try. And when they've come, they've just, they come all the time. Our rates are excellent. The quality of golf things is exceptional. We're in the, I always forget, is it Prestige Prime?
Premier.
I
Premier.
never remember what that is in that group. So
I brought in over
Paul, you and
$100,000.
Lori and your staff have really come through with the promises you made to the city before, and the best, or even on the council, or with this Councilman Best was on the council then with the promises of what you would do and bring it up to exceptional level. And I think you told us we're like rated the third.
We're rated
golf course in-
third in South Florida, Dave and Barrett got in public golf courses.
We have a lot of golf courses.
We went from literally not even on the list.
And it's a gem, it's a historic.
But
golf
it's
course.
the oldest golf course in Miami,
It's
Florida.
part of Miami Springs, and it's.
What a
for us
history.
to make sure that we keep it polished and maintained, and so that we can pass it on to future generations. So if I understand correctly, William, what right now what you just want from us is a vote saying that this is a consensus that this is, okay.
Can I ask a question, Mayor, before
Yes,
we
yes, sir.
do that? So this, this is everything that the ARP, the American Rescue Plan money is going to pay for, right? And it's only covering 1 year's worth of the debt service, and then it would be another, 14 years, because it's a 15-year note. And yeah, that's the only thing that, I think that everything on the list is noteworthy. I just thought that we would be able to commit to a little bit more. I personally, all those things I think are great. To me, I think the golf course was a priority. We've got a great finance manager as well as city manager. They are one. If you think that it doesn't saddle us with that debt service for another 14 years, and I thought we were going to kind of take a little bit more advantage of the ARP money to bite off a little bit more of what the golf course was going to cost us. If it's really only covering 1 year's worth of debt service, I just want to make sure that we're all in agreement that that's what's.
Well, and I think that there's two other things to consider here. One of them is police officer. We have an extra police officer, but that's going to be an ongoing. That's not something like the playground equipment for,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
park that we pay and that's it, and just maintain it. That's an ongoing annual
Good point.
increase. So we need to talk about that. So what I was going to suggest is that I know I've gone through the list and whittled down, even though I would love all these things, 2 or 3 items that, from my point of view, would be last on my list if we had to pick and choose. And I thought perhaps each of us could look at that. I don't think you need that right now, or do you? Because I mean, we need time to look at it and decide. But perhaps each of us look at this with, the idea of if you had to cut back on 2 or 3 items, which would they be? I know I was able to do that earlier, just in case it came to that. But for right now, William, you think we can go ahead? And I know what you're saying, Councilman, that you were hoping that we would use a bigger chunk of this money for, but these are all items too, that when we had the
Sure.
workshop this summer, after, we have the new administration, that we had the workshop, and these were all things that we envisioned we would like to
Yeah.
move forward on for the city.
And I mean, like, to varying degrees, right? And not to get into each one of these individually. We talked about all of these things. They all, but they all had different priorities, and we had questions about different items. I'm just looking ahead. If that note for 14 years, that's a commitment. And I think that you bring up a good point also, the police officer, which is also, those were kind of my 2 biggest priorities, as much as all of those are great. Heck, I'm right next to Stafford Park, and I think it would be fantastic to have a walking path that would have lights. I just want to make sure that the ones that are not a one-time payment, that we're now going to have to continue, and particularly what the police officer is going to cost us, I think is valuable and necessary. It's just that the debt service is a lot, and I want to make sure that we're all okay with what we're signing up to do, which is to only pay for 1 year's worth of debt service out of this money, and then obviously we have another 14 years of payment.
And this is just a thought that I'm throwing out, then, if we were to whittle this down to all agree on perhaps some of these projects, depending on the number of kind of high that we wanted to remove, we might be able to save, I don't know, depends on who's, which project, but from the ones that I kind of put at the bottom of my list, it's like 300,000. Would that be something that is worth investigating, and then that would
Well,
some of the debt service?
can I just ask for the city manager's opinion with respect to the other debt service payments that we make on a yearly basis within the city? Like, is that a significant amount? I think the debt services that would 280 something on the golf course.
Right now, I was not sure. 1.6 million.
Right.
About 6.3% of our total budget.
Gotcha.
So this will bring it up to about the neighborhood of
Okay.
$300,000 more.
Right. Yeah. Just want to think kind of contextually what it's going to mean. Again, I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying that
I think they're good points that you're bringing up, and they're certainly thought to it.
I mean, and just
again, these are also things that if for our community. I mean, I think all of our goal is to constantly not just maintain it part, but to improve as much as we can, so that when we pass it on, it's a little bit better than what we inherited, and the next council can do better and pass it on. We continually improve our community, and some of these things are things that have been on the list for a long time. And it's like that saying, "I've never let a crisis go to waste." This pandemic, kind of as horrible as it was, gave us some opportunities economically to tackle some of these that have been kicked down. The can's been kicked down the road for a long, long time.
And I think our goal is that this is something that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
If it's something this year, it's gonna be done down the road, and it's probably gonna cost us more. So if we keep kicking the
Not at all.
Well, I think we're talking about the other part. I think we're all in agreement. with the
Yeah.
golf course,
Yeah.
Right, that the golf
Yeah.
course is,
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
to, there's no reason to take a step back on that.
And Mayor, truth be told, let's say we say, hey, we're not going to do this other thing that costs $300,000. In the long run, what's the difference going to be in the debt service? It's probably negligible anyways. So, hey, I'm playing devil's advocate against myself. I'm just thinking out loud.
Mhm.
We're all thoughts of, and that's the purpose of this meeting, so that, we collaborate and
Through the chair. Thank you. I'm not too much into maybe eliminating some of these items, but maybe rerouting these funds where we need them that can possibly generate more revenue for us since we're putting an investment into it. An example, the golf course. I know that this money that's going to be going to the golf course is basically for the field, right? For the greenery, nothing that has to do with the building or anything. Right. I was there for
The roof is included in that.
The roof's
The
included.
roof?
Yeah.
Right.
100,000.
I was just there. Well, we were there this past Friday. I went to the bathroom and I wasn't impressed. I think that we need to maybe reroute some funds to renovate the building as well, if that's a possibility, because where you go and you enjoy and you spend time there, you invest, you spend money, and with that revenue, you can offset some of that debt service. So
Use because I know there's two sets of restrooms, and one of them is more like by the old toy shop, and then there's the newer ones.
Really only use the one set.
yeah.
We only use the ones, we don't use the ones near the kitchen area. Why is that?
Those haven't been used since I got here.
Why is that?
I mean, they were converted, part of the restrooms were converted to a AV building, the booth for the banquet room. So they're not functional. There's only one set.
Yeah, I think the interior of the golf course, the country club needs some renovating. So maybe we can work around it instead of eliminating, just reassess the funds,
So
put the money where it works.
That was part of the meeting. Before my team.
Right.
Marvel back.
Renovations to the bathrooms, correct?
So maybe we just need to reach out to them on there, because that was something in the contract. And those are nice restrooms that are right
Mhm.
by the banquet hall and all. They make more sense than going down the hall to.
Through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Just a procedural question. I know you made some suggestions. And William had asked us to consider authorizing him moving forward in terms of the debt and the note and so forth. Was that the ask, William? In other words, to work on the rate, to get the rate the best rate possible. So are we going to consider that, or
Is there a motion to, do we need a?
I'd like to move that motion, yes.
Yeah, I'll be happy to second that.
And what, just to be clear, what is the motion? Councilman, that we're authorizing the city manager to proceed on these items.
On these items, on the note and so forth. Yes.
I just want to say you've done a fantastic job, and I know
Yes.
some staff, William, but this is really concise. These are all issues that we definitely talked about, this summer when we did the workshop, the things we wanted to go. We've gotten prices for them. They all seem, reasonable. I don't, know the details obviously, but for what we're getting, and we've packaged it all up into somehow extending these funds to cover a lot. We'll get a lot of bang for our money, so.
And understanding, Madam Mayor, that we will come back to discuss items,
You said each item.
to each item we have.
As it
to-
comes
to
about,
vote. So
right.
There'll be time to have the other conversation. I think
Is there any more
the points that Councilman Fayette raised and
And
Councilwoman
if we
Bravo.
decide on one of these items as it comes back, that if the cost is too much, we're not getting enough or whatever, then we would just not.
We're not doing it because in general fund, yeah, we don't spend it. Right.
Okay, so let's take any more discussion, any more questions? Call the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bravo?
Yes.
Councilman Best?
Aye.
Councilman Fahet?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Right, so,
12B.
workshops.
The next agenda item is, we already did that, right? Okay, so the next agenda item is just a request by me for us to consider having a council workshop. I think when we had a council workshop last year, shortly after we had the elections, I think it was very productive. Look at, the items that came up. It's, let's call something in early 2022. There's a lot of issues that we probably, and it's things that at these meetings, we're here to vote, and what we're doing is voting, but just having workshops aren't for voting, but they're more to discuss things, collaborate. So if the council agrees, I'd like to request that we schedule a workshop, and Erica can reach out to us about when it should be, but early, I'm thinking either January or February
I agree.
of 2022, and then we can put whatever we would like to discuss. I thought of just some things, that I would like to discuss on the workshop, and each of you, I'm sure, have some things too.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
acceptable?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Should I vote on that, or just,
I would, through the chair, I would request that not early in January, because I won't be here in early January, but yeah, anytime
So,
after that's
a
fine with
question-
me.
January or February, but you can reach out. It would be a weeknight in lieu of a council, probably an alternate night that we don't have a meeting.
Right. You have a date?
The 10th and 24th are the council meetings for January, right? 10th and 24th.
17th.
But I think that's Martin Luther King Day. That's a holiday.
It's a holiday, yes.
So,
And the 10th is, I think, too early for everyone right after. I mean, the
So,
one before
so
that
the
would be-
31st.
that's
might
the,
be-
right.
So,
The
31st?
Yeah, the
19th?
3rd.
The 19th?
the
Oh,
19th
are
is
you
what?
here?
Or Wednesday.
That's a
I'll be back
Wednesday.
by then, yeah.
Okay. A Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Middle
Is
week?
that right?
I'd like to
No,
suggest that we,
I can't.
Erica, reach out
yeah,
to us.
because
Yeah.
you have commission meetings, not that, we couldn't preempt them,
I'm
but
going to be doing a thing
no,
at the
we're not
church at
watching
Blessed
any
Trinity
movies.
every Wednesday for like the 19th of January till the 23rd of February, every Wednesday night. So
yeah.
Wednesday night for me is not going to work.
Okay.
I would suggest the 31st, the Monday, 31st was,
Days
say a
that
few
are
days, yeah.
for a weeknight. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think,
Great, good idea, Mayor. Good idea, Mayor.
that's a way for us to collaborate without, just waiting for something to appear on the agenda. Okay, so other than that, we go to reports and recommendations from us, our city attorney. And I just wanted to say, this whole past 2 weeks, when we've been on the phone and back and forth with emails and stuff, they and the firm have just been really, really right on top of providing information as to what you've done to legally to handle this noise issue that we're having. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you. Nothing at this time.
Thank you, city manager.
Yeah, before I get to my list, I just wanted to mention, talking about the projects. We also have a few items that our grant writer is doing for us. Some of them is a FERDAP loan for the FERDAP grant for the PBW lighting that we talked about. We're also working on a 52 hectare plant for a new bus for the senior center.
Mhm.
And also working with NPO now with a grant for a master plan, a master traffic study for the city that just came out. Also, so that will be coming back to you hopefully sometime in the future. Doing a master parking plan.
Mhm.
So we-
Interesting. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And, that's it. Want to mention that from now to December 17th, we have a food drive for the children at the Lotus House, Women's Shelter. Donate old mules and other toys here in our city hall lobby. Shannon, SPLO, person have a box, so that's what I'm waiting for. The holiday luncheon, city staff will take place on Friday, December 17th. A multi-purpose room, credit center, will be 11 to 2. Since the luncheon will be taking place at the aquatic center, the vaccination for that day will be moved to the multi-purpose room in the recreation center. And And then remind everyone about the holiday golf cart parade this Saturday, December 18th. The parade will line up beginning at 6 p.m. with a park on Curtis Parkway. And the parade will actually begin at 7 p.m. The route will be from the Curtis Walker path to the golf course parking lot. All participants must decorate their golf carts. If you have any questions, please contact Community Center at 805-5075 and ask the case. Other than that, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Hopefully it's a quiet evening.
You wish for too much, William.
Vice Mayor?
All right, so last meeting of the year. I cannot believe it. And I can't believe it's been about 8 months since we've started working together. Time flies. So I would like to I'll request it to William. I want a golf course tour as well. I've been meaning to get in touch with you, but I know that there's certain protocols. So I'm going to be touching base with William so you can drive me around because I'm interested as well. I'll be meeting with Public Works as well. I want to meet with them. And I'm super glad to hear that we're getting a parking plan study through a grant. Is that what I understood? And which is amazing. And that's it. I hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'll see you next year. Thank you.
Councilman Best?
You might have mentioned it, but I'm just going to reiterate. I think it was starting today, right? Vaccinations every day now, not just Tuesdays and Fridays. Not yet. I thought the third. Okay, but it's still Tuesday and Friday, but that's our intention to go for every day, right? Monday through Friday. You're trying for that. Okay. All right. No, a good meeting tonight. And yeah, just the stuff that we mentioned tonight with the ARPA thing and the golf course renovation and everything. What's the next council going to do? That everything's done. I mean, it's almost like
They're going to pay for it.
almost like, well, yeah, well, that's true. But I mean, this is extremely ambitious. And William, that's a super job with the parking garage. Well, that's going to come with the study, though, right? We've got to have that first. Yeah. Merry Christmas to everybody, and best wishes for 2022. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, thank you. And very lightly pumping the brakes, thinking about the debt service. I always get cautious when it comes to that. But I think that the city manager's done a phenomenal job in terms of stretching out this money and really hitting so many different areas. And I think we're getting a ton of stuff done that's being paid for out of these funds, that these are one-time funds that we're getting. So I think it's we're doing right by our community, and we should all be proud of everything that we're accomplishing. So happy holidays to everybody.
Yes. End of the year list. First of all, I just want to say that the awful experience that we had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from the nuisance, the music. Councilman Fahed lives closer, but I'm right there, and I didn't get a good night's sleep at least 3 of those 4 nights. And I commend everyone at this desk and the city manager and our attorneys. We communicated quickly, not only to the residents who wrote to us and so forth, and your leadership, Mayor, and meeting with Mayor Bobo. I actually spoke with Commissioner Sosa as well. So what bothered me almost as much as the nuisance itself was the reaction that I saw on some unfortunate comments made about Miami Springs for complaining about the noise from some of our colleagues on the other side of the canal. And it really incensed me. And of course, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to engage in that kind of conversation, but it was daunting to say the least. And so I want to thank our attorneys and city manager and mayor for working on this in a manner that I hope will take care of the problem. And that if we have to file a lawsuit, we will. And that this has already been initially communicated to the owners of this venue, because I am as pro-business as they come, but this is a violation of noise ordinances, not only ours, but the state as well, and the county. So, we are pushing back, and I want folks to know that we're pushing back hard in this way. And we've had the conversations with the city of Hialeah, what they'll do in terms of the venue, that's on them. But we're doing our due diligence. And so thank you all for that. Madam Mayor, I've attended 2 of the 4 business and community and economic development meetings. And I think you've attended all of them, and a number of folks here. And I think we can agree that there's a lot of good things that have come out of there. And I appreciated at the last meeting, Mayor, that you reiterated to the board members that they should come to us with projects that we can begin working on. And so I just want to ask you for us to ensure that we invite them to a council meeting early on in the year, first meeting or second meeting, in our reports, and also invite them to invite their members, because there's a really interesting group there. And so I think that we can start the year off in terms of business and economic development with some ideas and some concrete things that I think along the initiative of Councilwoman Bravo in terms of our parking projects, I think we can fold some of these things together. And I'm glad that there's going to be a proposal put together for that. I had a question. I'm glad Omar's still here. I raised it with William. I got a call from the president of the Optimist Club about some scoreboards that they paid for, but they haven't been installed. And there's some question as to how much and who's responsible because they're bigger scoreboards. And so I think it's something we need to look at. Omar, I don't know if you've heard from anyone about this, because I think it's important to try to get them up. I know the soccer team, the soccer league, I think can't afford it, but I don't know how expensive it is.
You called me about that.
Yeah.
Dr. Omar talked to Fred, and apparently he was having a problem with an electrician, right?
Yes, it's the electrical installation.
But the money for the scoreboard is part of this funding
That we're discussing. Okay, yes, I remember you mentioned something of that.
We also did get a quote. We haven't gotten it yet, but from Computer Electric. I think the issue was that Fred initially had some funding to do the installation that Little League was going to cover it completely, and he was having an issue because he was kind of like having an electrician do the electrical work and then having someone else do the groundwork, and they just couldn't get it together. But there's actually not a permitting issue, but they were a little bit confused. They thought they could just go and install the scoreboards, and I was like, you just can't do that. Like, it has to be hurricane wind load, it has to be permitted, it has to be drawings. So that kind of set them back a little bit too. It's just a learning curve for them, and then somewhere along the line they just didn't communicate too well with that. So we stepped in with Computer Electric. William told me call Computer Electric right away to at least get us a quote. If the quote makes sense, then we just might go ahead and help them out with, like William says, with the funding.
I appreciate that.
But trust me, I want to get the scoreboards out of my office as quickly as possible.
Did you talk to Jimmy Carter and Carl Bithorn? They hung that big scoreboard at Shelley Dunkel Field at the high school, the baseball field.
Yeah, and it cost them about 10 grand.
It did cost 10 grand.
Yeah,
that's right.
And they got the funding from alumni and other baseball players like Yasmani and some of these other guys that had.
They got it done in like 2 days too.
Well, yes, again, that's public school. I don't know what they asked them for as far as plans and stuff, so I can't talk on their behalf. But
Unfortunately, we showed some plans to Ulysses, and he did respond to Fred with some questions and concerns. So I think more now is just getting a solid price on what it's going to cost to do the installation correctly, and then moving forward. But I think everything else is pretty much being tied up. But
And
yes,
on-
I
on-
promise you, I want them out of my office.
Yeah, no, and now that you're gonna make room in your office, this next point actually has to do with room in your office. I wanted to share that Councilman Best and I, the night we went to the scout meeting, and you were there, Madam Mayor, the scouts who were working on a civic engagement. Yes, yes. We had a really great time with them. And at the end of that meeting, one of the moms who were involved, Ellie Diaz, who's also the president of the PTA at Miami Springs Senior High School, approached us about the issue that they're going to have, the scouts moving forward. Because as you know, they've been housed at the Optimist Club, and sometime soon, maybe in the beginning of the year at some point, they're going to have to move out of there. They have some equipment and so forth. And then Councilman Best and I spoke to Omar at the opening of the tree lighting. And anyway, we're trying to connect them to see if the city can help.
They could just come and make a presentation and be on the agenda and let the whole council.
That's fine.
That's fine, then I will communicate that. But I wanted to recognize Omar and Williams, support and looking at the possibility so that one, the city knows how much stuff that they have, because they have stuff, they don't move it all the time, but they get stuff out for different events, particularly when they go on weekend hikes and camping equipment. And they also have a trailer that's there, that's used for that purpose. They bring the stuff out and load the trailer. I know I've been there a lot of times to help with that. And so that's something that we're hoping the city can help us. Thank you, Omar, for, and William, and we'll follow up. I'll follow up with them and ask them and see if we can put them on the agenda early in January so we can take care of that. I wanted to bring up a point, not for discussion or anything, just to consider. I know that we had this conversation before. I can't remember at which of our meetings, but I've been over to the museum, Historical Society Museum, and hi Jennifer, and it's great. You should go if you haven't been there. And one of the points of conversation we've had in the past, I believe it was Councilman Best, I believe, who raised this, was about how do we get the Historical Society and the Curtis Mansion and sort of working. And I don't know how we facilitate that, but I want to bring it back to our attention to continue to work on that for the benefit of the city and moving forward. I've had some great conversations with Jennifer and Jim Watson and so forth about some things. I told them I'd like to see one of Curtis Mansion's planes, and motorcycles as an exhibit come by at some point. But I just want to bring that back for the record that we approached that. I don't know if you want to say anything about that. No, okay. And lastly, William mentioned the vaccination, and I wanted to just share that my wife went with my son on, I think it was last Friday, to get his booster. He's 19 years old, and the news had come out more recently about this other variant that's out there. And so I think the folks at the vaccination centers have seen an uptick in folks who have not been vaccinated to come in and get their first vaccination. And so I know they're keeping them busy. And I know you mentioned that they're going to open up now every day because I think there's a greater demand. And I just appreciate the fact that the city is hosting this, and that in addition to the vaccinations, my wife and I were attending a reception for the Archdiocese a few weeks ago, and before we went there, we were asked, all of the folks that were going to this reception, that we get a COVID test, and so we went to the Lions Club and got the results that same day, and so we're doing very well, I think, as a city on all of these fronts. So Thank you. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and since our next meeting is not till the 10th, Happy Three Kings Day. Felicidades.
Add to what you were saying about with the COVID vaccinations and also the Lions Club offering the testing. Our community is doing just, I'm always amazed, our small community, how much we do, not just for our community, but for others. The free COVID testing is available through the Lions Club, is available every day. And I've had several throughout the past year, just on and off when, I didn't feel well and that I should get tested, and it's very reliable. Thankfully, it's always been negative, but they just make it very easy to go there, and then our vaccinations, and the vaccinations are for anyone in the community, anyone in the state, no questions asked. You just show up, and you can get your vaccination, your booster. So we do so much for, for our community and for the rest of South Florida, in making it easy, available, encouraging people to take adequate protection. I wanted to mention that we met, William and I'm so impressed with our new county mayor, Daniela Rubalcaba. She made a commitment when she was elected to collaborate with the municipalities, and she really has come through with that. We have a representative, our government and community affairs manager, who is constantly, William and I communicate with him all the time. She's very interested, the mayor's very interested in a lot of the activities going on in our city. They reached out, the county has a new public works director. His name is Director Clark, and he's from Colorado. He's a new transit and public works director. And he reached out to us and wanted to come to meet with us, with William and I, and Lazaro, and it was very good meeting here to get to know our city. That, several of our roads are county roads. We took them on a tour of Miami Springs in one of the city buses, and later lunch at the country club. And I think it's great because the more collaboration we have with these county agencies that provide services for us and that they're familiar with our city, it really benefits us and gives us a contact person. I wanted to know a lot of the issues we were having and discuss that, in the past. So I really applaud her for that. And also Tomas from her office has reached out. He wants to have a breakfast, and it's going to be tomorrow morning with the presidents of our civic clubs. They're very interested in, they've heard a lot about our civic clubs, which are amazing. Our Women's Club, Lions Club, Optimist, and Rotary Club. They're 4 clubs that go far and beyond. And I'm always, my jaw is dropping constantly at the quality and the number of activities and scope of activities that our civic clubs do, not just for our community again, but for South Florida and often for the nation. So anyway, he's coming to have breakfast with the presidents of the 4 civic clubs, wants to talk to them and get to know them. And again, I really commend the new county mayor for having this kind of communication and interaction and collaboration with our municipality. And as you know, she spoke here shortly after she was elected.
First
really
meeting.
First municipality that she came to speak at, and my understanding is she's spoken at others since then. Also, the community events. The city has had so many community events this fall, just fun things, with the turkey trot and the Halloween events, and one after another of holiday events. And Lazaro, your group, and Omar's, putting them together. And I know Lazaro's like, the backbone of making sure, the public works staff and so many others, William, of course, and your staff, and all just really phenomenal events that we have every single weekend. In the golf cart parade now coming up. I've got friends in Kendall that called me and said, "Are you having a golf cart parade? We want to come and see it." I go, "It's not like the Fort Lauderdale boat parade, don't get your hopes up too much."
Maybe
But,
soon.
I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. So, but thank you. It takes a lot, and this goes far beyond the normal work that you're doing of maintaining our city and have normal activities and all. And each of these events take a lot of collaboration, a lot of work, a lot of extra work on your staff, and they're really, really appreciated, and they're top rate. They're just really good. The Business and Economic Development Task Force that Councilman Vasquez spoke about. I know Councilman Best and I have been at all 4 of the meetings, extremely impressive, 13 members, the discussions that they get into, the scope of what they're looking at, of finding, giving us, feedback to the council eventually on what kinds of businesses we should be attracting to Miami Springs to have more diversity in businesses and businesses that will promote our community and help us with our tax base. And also in how we can assist, how the council and the city can assist our existing businesses to thrive. And the task force is just a really phenomenal group of professionals that are doing that for us. They meet the first Thursday of every month. So I encourage everyone in the community, residents and business owners to attend. They want input. They're open to it. They want to listen to it. They have good discussions. So please put it on your calendar. The next meeting will be the first Thursday in January here at City Hall. And I think that is all. I wanted to wish everyone happy holidays and to again thank our city employees for everything you do all year long for our community. I know we don't say it enough, but we really, with the background of our community, working great and we very much appreciate it. And to our residents, thank you for your input, your patience. Because sometimes, some issues just can't, the noise is a perfect issue. We're dealing with it. I can tell you we're dealing with it at the state level with our state representatives, with our senators, the county level with the county mayor, with Commissioner Sosa, at this municipality level with Mayor Bogle, and obviously with, at the legal level with our city attorneys, and we will get resolution. But thank you for your patience. Sometimes these things, I wish you could flip a switch and resolve it. And unfortunately, this is one of those that will take some doing, but we're not going to be subjected to that kind of disturbance. So thank you so much, and happy holidays, and we'll see you next year.
Maria.
Oh.
It's been so long.
I'm on my way.
Jose, nice to meet you.
Met on Zoom, but never.
I was trying to
Oh,
look for
okay,
something.
Great.
Thank you so much. I can't.
I guess I must have dropped it. Oh, well. Bye. Thank you, Omar.
Seemed like it was a good one. Merry Christmas.
Igual. We have warm hands.
Yeah.
But then. Yeah.
Or take it home.